Hi, my name is Daphne, and today we are in my office, even though it's a beautiful day outside, but there isn't too much happening in the garden right now because it is still winter. But we're in my office because my beautiful plants are in this space. Currently, I am growing salad greens like tok soy and bok choy, trying to grow spinach. I had 2 to germinate, so cross my fingers on that. But all of the salad greens are being grown in here today. We also have our basils because they take a long time to actually grow once they germinate. Also, we're growing all of our peppers in February as well because because peppers take a very long time to germinate and take a very long time to actually grow as well. So we are growing our peppers, our salad greens, our basils, and some of our herbs, namely our namely our chamomile and some bergamot, red bergamot, because I got the seeds. So great. But we're growing those in here as well because most herbs do take quite a while to actually grow as well. So I want to show you guys week 2 of the germination process inside of this grow space. Currently the temperature ranges between 65 and 75. With no additional heating source outside of like the central air unit. And I do have a few of the peppers on heating mats as well. When they do germinate, then I up-pot them and I just kind of move them up along the storage unit here. So I'll show you guys that setup and that process and how they're doing for week 2. I did get some seeds today. They are actually Korean dark green pepper seeds. And I actually did start those today. So they're not obviously going to be germinated for quite a while, especially with peppers. The hotter the pepper, it typically tends to increase the germination time. So I want to show you guys what is growing within this grow space and how I actually have everything arranged. Alright, so for the sprouts, and I'm very happy about this, I did have to turn the lights off because there was a nice glare from the grow lights, which are right at the top of this. So I had to cut them off for now. Hopefully the seeds don't, have too much of an issue with that. But I did want to show you guys the beautiful little salad seedlings and some basils, because I don't plant the basil within the growing space, within the raised bed. But how beautiful they are doing just within a week's time. So we have within the first row, we have our tok soy, and they are kind of leaning. One day I actually did forget to turn the grow lights on until 8 o'clock in the morning. Typically I turn them back on at 5. I turn them off at 11. Because the thing is, you actually do not need to have your grow lights on consistently. I actually read that the plants will be healthier if they do get about 8 hours of darkness. So I turned them off at 11, forgot to turn them back on until 8 on a Sunday because I wake up later on a Sunday, and they are now officially leaning towards the light. Although in my defense, that might be a preference. They do get some natural light for the window that they're closest to, but they're leaning. So I did put a little toothpick right here trying to see if I can maybe get it to lean back towards the artificial light, but we'll see. I mean, they have to be up-potted anyway, so maybe I'll kind of bury this a little, bury it a little deeper, although it doesn't really matter for tok soy. It's a low-growing plant. Then we have some basil here, Genovese basil, and I'm letting that grow in clumps here. They don't really need to be cut back. For the salad greens, I'm actually doing 1 per cell because I don't need multiple. Like I can only fit 3 tok soy, 3 Paris Island lettuce within the growing space. I don't need 6, but since undoubtedly 1 is going to be eaten up, 1's not going to make it through the hardening off cycle, 1's not going to probably make it through the seedling stage. I grow 6 and then we kind of just wean them back until we get 3. So I grow 6, and so but I plant more than 1 seed, and so whenever the other seeds come up, I do just kind of snip them back. And because some of these are older seeds, you do want to plant more than 1. But the Paris Island lettuce is coming in really nicely, and I've been snipping that as we go. We have the cinnamon basil, which I grow strictly for teas. Not so great in salads. But the cinnamon basil and the basil stem queen Thai basil, wonderful for teas. So definitely I'm growing that just for tea. And the basil I am allowing to grow in clumps. Look at that. And then we also have in the corner our dinosaur kale here, which I've also been snipping back to 1. Although I don't know what I'm going to do with 6 with 6 types of kale. I'm thinking that only 3 or 4 might survive. But even that's a lot for kale. Kale grows pretty big. So, and then on this corner we have our malo, which is slowly starting to come in here. We just have one little empty space, but that's fine. Like I said, I only really need 3 plants. We have our Marzuna coming in, and we do have a smaller one coming in just right there. And we have our lettuce leaf basil. I am allowing this one to kind of clump up, but I might actually separate them out because this basil gets so large. I don't think that it might be wise to grow them in clumps. We have one empty cell here. We have our purple bok choy, and you can actually see some of the color coming in on this as well. And they actually seem to be preferring the natural light. And we had a pretty good success rate with this one germinating. And the purple bok choy is absolutely beautiful. Scarlet kale, we haven't had so much luck with the germination. And I do remember having the same issue last year with the scarlet kale. It's not old seed, it just might be a bad batch. Because last year's plants came from the same pack. So I'm not exactly sure what happened with Baker Creek. Because I know that it's not necessarily my germination practices. I mean, kale isn't that hard to germinate. But I think this particular type of kale has been kind of difficult. We do have one sprout, and I actually did re-sow the seed here. It could be that it takes a little while longer for the scarlet kale to germinate, but I do remember having issues with germination last year. So this one I'm actually going to baby, maybe even keep it in like a small container or a large container, maybe a 5-gallon bucket when it's big enough to go outside, so that I can actually get some seed from this and see if maybe the seed that I germinate will actually germinate better next year. So there'll be an experiment with this type because I did have issues germinating this last year. And then we have some arugula, which usually has no issues in germinating. So that these are our salad greens, and they're doing amazing. They should be ready to be up potted within like a week or two, and then that'll give me time to kind of rinse out very lightly, just rinse out these containers. Because I'm actually going to use at least one of these for the tomatoes from March. And March is really soon. I can't believe that we are almost getting to the point where we can germinate tomatoes. So one of these containers will be used for tomatoes, and then 1 or 2 will be used for flowers, for the things that will be grown in March. I do believe for the schedule for March, we do have growing. We have our peas, but I might do that for late March. And then we also have eggplants, which I actually will be growing this year for the first time. So I don't really eat eggplant. So I'll have to come up with some recipes. I know my husband will eat it though. We also will be growing our tomatoes, all of our flowers as well. We'll be growing in March. We have our chamomile here, and it is beautifully germinated. Just the little buds. I can't actually leave these in the strawberry containers. I tried that I think 2 years ago, and it ended up being very, very nitrogen deficient because I wasn't quite able to this soil was just basically coconut coir and perlite, and doesn't have any fertilizer in it, so it was hard to kind of consistently fertilize these plants that are in strawberry containers. And that might actually be the one downside to growing in strawberry containers, is the fertilizing. So what I ended up having to do is, what I will be doing is I will actually be taking these out in clumps with literally just using a spoon and just up potting them in the regular potting containers. So that I should be able to get about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, and just put them in a smaller container. And it is absolutely beautiful. We actually don't have a lot of plants because I think I used half the seed last year and I didn't purchase any this year, but it's more than enough for one container. These things grow huge, and if you do cut them, they bush out, so won't have any issues with the white sage. And then we do have our May Queen lettuce here, which has just gotten amazing, grown amazing. I have no clue why I decided to grow this lettuce in a strawberry container because I do not need this much lettuce. I literally need about 3 plants. That is like 3 of these little seedlings. And so I'm gonna have to sacrifice a whole lot of them. I don't know what possessed me to grow them in strawberry containers, but I only need about 3. Maybe I'll up pot a little more, maybe see if I can pass them on to the neighbors. But yeah, they're growing pretty amazing, and they should be due for an up pot soon. The lightness in these leaves are telling me they're gonna be ready for some fertilizer very soon. They actually have a true leaf by now. Yep. And then the sweet marjoram is actually doing amazing as well. We had a high level of germination from these seeds. What I did not realize last year is that they are not perennials, they are annuals in my zone. And they died a slow, horrible death just outside. If I had known they were annuals, I would have put something over them to protect it, because it's an amazing plant. Or at the very least collected some seed. I didn't even collect the seed because I thought it was going to come back like the lemon balm and the peppermints do. But it doesn't. So this year I'm going to use half the plant for just chopping down for teas, because the tea is absolutely amazing. And the other half I will be saving for seeds, so I don't have to purchase any more of these seeds. But if you guys have never grown this plant, you should definitely try growing it. It is beautiful for teas. Absolutely wonderful for a tea. And then over here we have our peppers. And I have them under a humidity dome just to trap in a little bit more of the moisture, the heat. They're out directly sitting on a heating pad because peppers take forever to germinate. They're literally in Ziploc bags, and they are within, the seeds are sitting on damp paper towels. So if you can see that up close, I just have the seeds spread out. And then I'm just looking for signs of germination. So I spritz them every couple of days. And then just look very closely to see if you can spot anything that has a tail. And then if they do start to sprout, then I just take them out of here, out of the paper bag with a, what do you call it? A tweezers. And this container here is already spritzed down and it's already labeled. There are some labels on the side so I know which seed goes where. And then I just plop the sprouted peppers directly into this location. So right now we already have spinach in here because they all actually did start to germinate. I had them directly on a heating mat as well. And we also have 2 bell peppers that germinated as well. So you don't want to leave sprouted peppers too long on a paper towel because it'll be very difficult to kind of detangle the roots from that location. But as soon as I see some sprouted peppers, I just plop them directly within the grow unit. The Korean dark green peppers, I actually got these seeds yesterday. They came in the mail from Baker's Creek. And I know I said I wasn't going to buy any more seeds, but obviously that is not true. But I only brought the pepper seeds and some eggplants, and that was it. But yeah, these are not going to be sprouted right now, but they are warm. I actually put a date on here just to remind myself when everything else has sprouted that these are probably going to take a while. And the hotter the pepper, typically the more time it does take for it to germinate. The bell peppers have started to germinate now, so whenever I see any more of them sprouting tails or roots, then I just take them out and just directly put them within the growing unit. So it's probably going to be a little while longer. Peppers do take a while. I'm only growing hot peppers this year with the exception of the bell peppers, so I would not be surprised if April comes and we still have these plants are still on the heating mats. Although next year I'm thinking about starting the peppers in February, because if it's going to take a month for these things to germinate, I would prefer for them to be started in January and then have February, March, and April to just grow out. That would be helpful. But it's been a week, so I need to develop some more patience. And then we have some of our herbs. So we do have our lavender, and we do have some sprouts on here. Actually, we have two whole sprouts. And it could be that the seeds are a little old. I don't actually remember 3. Actually, there's a little baby one right there. I don't really remember when I purchased these seeds. So it could be that the age of the seed. And I have no excuse. I actually have a perennial lavender in the garden space that I could have collected seeds from, but I just kind of let the seeds drop. There's actually quite a few more that I see buds for. So we might actually have a full house in about a week. The Tulsi, I don't remember it taking this long to germinate last year, but maybe I wasn't that much in a rush for it. We do have 2 here. Yeah, I see 2. I don't see any more new sprouts, but like I said, it's only been a week. So we have 2 for the Tulsi. I was starting to give up hope for this. This is like the regular sage, but I do see 1 lone sprout right here. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's a tiny one right here. It's the smallest little seed. I don't see any more. But I did do a little bit of research on sage. Sage takes a very long time to germinate. At least the regular sage does. And I do remember purchasing sage as starts last year. So that might not be the worst idea, is to purchase some starts if these don't make an appearance within the next month or so. And then I did get the red bergamot from Baker's Creek. So I've been pleasantly surprised with the germination on these as well. So we have one more coming in here. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm thoroughly excited about that. I have wild bergamot already established in the gardening space, but I thought it might be beautiful to have like the light purple and the red within the garden space. It'd be so beautiful. And the bees love the bergamot, but the bergamot is wonderful for teas. Now these won't flower for the first year. They're what you call biannuals, similar to mullein. They just kind of spread out and clump within the first year, and then they just send up a flower stalk the second year. So they'll still be ground level, but that'll be fine because next year it'll be beautiful if I can get the voles in that area in check. But I haven't noticed them eating any of the roots from my perennial herbs. Hopefully. May not have any hope for the blueberries, but I haven't noticed them like doing a lot of damage with the herb plants. Alright, so thank you guys so much for watching. It is a little early, as mentioned, well, not as mentioned, well, mentioned within a prior video, but it is a little early to be germinating some things in February, especially in Ohio Zone 6B. But for peppers and certain herbs, it is the perfect opportunity to try to germinate those now so that they can be actually large and ready to go out into the garden space, hopefully at the end of April, early May. And with the warm temperatures we are getting here in Ohio for February, and warm is like anything below or anything above 30 degrees with the sunny days. Hopefully, crossing my fingers, we're actually able to get something in the ground Mother's Day, or at least a little before Mother's Day. These plants will be well established by then. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope that your germination stations, if you started germinating, are doing wonderful right now. And even if you're unable to kind of germinate anything right now for your growing space, it is good to at least try to put something into the ground, or at least like start thinking about how you want your gardens to look in your head. Like garden planning in general, even in February, even if it's a little early in your region, it just helps to like knock off the winter blues, especially if the weather has not been accommodating. Ours has, so that's been nice. But I still do need to germinate some things and put something in the ground and be able to touch the dirt, because it's like therapy. It just makes my heart sing. So in any case, thank you guys for walking with me through this journey, and thank you so much for watching, and you have a great day.